Hello, John Hively here. I'm here to talk about the history of certain political decisions, things going on today in the real world, income and wealth inequality, and how we got to where we are today from the good old 1970s. And most of what's going on today, if not all of it, has been caused by fantasy stories that emanate from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's fantasy stories rivaled the best of J.K. Rowling, the best of J.R.R. Tolkien, the best of George R.R. Martin, the best of Jim Butcher, whoever you can think of. They have some marvelous fantasy stories they've used to justify giving the wealthy and their corporations vastly more constitutional and political rights than you will ever have. And therein lies the big problem of what's going on today. So my broadcasts are going to expose those Supreme Court fantasies. And the fantasies actually go way back. You can go back more than 200 years. And the Supreme Court was then made up of wealthy white folks, white men. And of course, guess who they sided with? Wealthy white men. And a lot of them, these wealthy white men, like to keep their riches. And they found it in their interest to create fantasy stories that resonate today, that still exist today as legal precedents, and are used to give the wealthy even greater constitutional rights. So that's where we're going with this broadcast. And hope you stick around with us. We're going to start with Citizens United, and we're going to go through dozens of cases to show how the Supreme Court has taken away from you, has taken away from the poor and the middle class and the upper middle class and given to the wealthy. So that's what we're going to do. And I'll expose all of that here on my show, John Hively. You can also call this Seeing Through the Bullshit, because you're not going to hear any of this through the corporate news media. And a lot of the guys like Jimmy Dore and others and Tucker Carlson aren't going to mention this stuff either, because I've leaked it to Jimmy Dore, and he doesn't seem interested in it at all. Anyway, that's why I'm doing this broadcast, because nobody else will expose this stuff. You know, I've talked to people especially on the left, on the progressive left, the people you would think who would be interested in this stuff. But they're not. The Lever News is not. The Nation is not. In These Times magazine is not. So you go on and on and on and on, and you're going to find that there is not an interest in what's really going on today. So I'm going to link the Supreme Court decisions based on fantasies with your pocketbook. And we could start with 1976, but I'm going to start with Citizens United in 2010, because it's loaded with fantasies, incredible fantasies. Fantasies to the left of us, fantasies to the right of us, you name it, fantasies in front of us. And there's still fantasies today, but they're ruling our lives and inflicting our pocketbooks with massive damage. And they're taken right out of allowing the wealthy to grab money right out of your wallets and send it into their own bank accounts. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. That's the broadcast. Hopefully you'll stick around. We'll see you later.